Hi dancers, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nefabit and today we are going to talk about how to maximize your Maya or vertical figure eight. So let's get right into it. Alright dancers, so briefly we're going to go through a tutorial for those of you who are less familiar with Maya, and then we're going to talk about some ways to really improve and increase your range of movement and make your Maya clean and visible. So just to get started, this is one of the movements where we have to have the deepest degree of plie or bend in the knees. So really think of, let me see if I can get far enough back here. We're going to really bend the knees over the toes, and the lower back and the tailbone should drift down. So imagine a little laser coming out of your tailbone, alright? Doop. And make sure that that laser beam is not pointing backward behind you, alright? That laser beam needs to point down between your heels, maybe just like a couple inches behind your heels, alright? So laser beam straight down. You can also visualize little lasers pew, pew, in your hip bones. And those lasers, we have to make sure that those don't point downward. Those are going to point straight forward, alright? So essentially, we're taking out the tilt in the pelvis, and we're really imagining that that pelvic bowl is nice and flat. So you could also imagine that that bowl is full of water, and you want to keep that bowl completely full to the brim of water. All analogies aside, most important thing is that your back is lengthened. Now I'm not saying to flatten out all the curvature to your spine and put your back against the wall. I'm just saying make sure that we're not trying to dance like this. Alright? So this posture in itself takes a lot of practice. I encourage you to really work on it, especially when you're working on this particular movement. So very deep and very lengthened. Alright? Just make sure that you're not over tucking. So how do you know if you're over tucking? You're going to feel the lower glutes, the gluteus minimus. You're going to feel a squeeze there. Alright, so you can see how my bottom is under me. And now I'm overcorrected. Now my tailbone, that laser is pointing like between my toes. Alright, so remember the laser goes down between the heels, not too far forward, not too far back. Okay? Nice happy medium. Now the Maya is going to combine a vertical hip lift, like so, with a slide. Now the slide is usually something that we do practice and perform in second position. So doing it in first position, now back up a bit again, doing it in first position can get some getting used to, so I just recommend bring your feet together so that your ankle bones are almost touching. Lengthen, and try doing your hip slide in that position there. And you're going to feel the weight shift go all the way to the outside of your feet. So if these are my feet, you're going to feel the weight transfer to the outsides of your feet. And you're going to feel some rolling here. So that's totally normal when you feel that. Alright? Now for vertical movement, I want you to just think not only of lifting, but also press down. Ooh, did you hear my hip pop? Jeez. So we're going to lift and press at the same time. So there's active engaging on both sides of my waist right here. And that's going to give us the most vertical range of motion there. And again, note, especially for my beginners, this is impossible to do if your knees are not bent enough. In fact, I'm going to adjust the camera angle lower still so you can see my legs. Okay, so anyway, what was I saying? We're going to talk about how that is really impossible if your legs are not bent. So I'll show you from the side here. So my knees are bent. Now my hips are going to travel vertically. And remember, I'm not just pushing. Alright, notice the difference. Lift, 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 lift. Alright? Now if I do that with my knees straight, that is going to cause my ankles to lift up to compensate. Alright? So, moving right along, let's talk about these guys here. So we're going to connect these two dots. I want you to think of lift up, and then we're going to slide out. You're going to feel that weight in the outer side of your foot here. Trying to find the perfect frame, sorry. So lift, slide. Now a lot of people get stuck right here because if you try to push down, there's resistance on the outside of your leg. The only thing you have to do to, remove that little sticky point, that stopping point, boom, is bend this knee. Boom. Just relax it. So we come nice and deep plie, up, out, bend that knee, and then start to press down with the oblique. Do you feel that? Now, of course, as soon as we start to press down, we're already lifting on the other side. So it's going to be up, out, down, up, out, down, up, out, down, up, out, down. And we'll smooth that out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to come closer again so that you can really see what's happening in my torso here. Alright, so we're really squeezing in the oblique. Make sure that the rest of the legs are relaxed and the knees are bent to accommodate that movement. Heels are glued to the floor. Do not let your heel come up. Alright? Now, here we'll start to get into fine-tuning. So if you are familiar with Maya and you want to improve it, here's a point where you can start to improve it. 1, bend your knees deeper than you think you need to, and really think of sitting back. All right, this is very difficult to do perfectly flat because we all have a degree of tilt in our pelvis that we cannot correct, but we do want to make it as flat as possible. Now the second thing that we can really, really work on is lifting that hip up and in, not up and out. So I'll show you the difference here. So a lot of what I will see is a wide but flat Maya. So there's a lot of emphasis on essentially the slide and only a little bit of lift and drop in the hips. So I'll show you the difference here. It's still very pretty. It's just very shallow. So instead of lifting up as we slide, we're going to lift up and in. Notice that's almost pushing my other hip out, so I'm lifting really high inward towards my rib cage. Up, and then I start to go down. So I only start to press down after I have slid. So I'm holding this lift as I slide out. In fact, you should be able to see that my legs go with that. So I come up, and my whole weight shifts out, and then I press down. Same thing on this side. Up and in, hold it as we shift, and then press down. And when we press down to the outside rather than coming in and down to the inside, look what happens. Now my other hip is already lifting up and in. So I'll show you closer. So up, out, still lifting though. Then we press down. Really, really press down through that leg. Then we're ready here. Up, out, down, up, out, down, up, out, down, up, out, down. So we're really thinking of creating a more rounded shape here. It's a little bit more vertical. Now that's not to say that there's anything wrong with the longer, shallower one. It's just a variation. In fact, you could even do both, and they're both beautiful. But this is what I like to see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's try on a 2 count. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice how much that's making my whole torso work. I'm feeling that way up into my rib cage, feeling it in my obliques, and I'm even feeling it in my quadratus lumborum as well. So let's take a moment to talk about the feet again. If you really struggle with lifting up your toes, I want to show you this drill, which is a game changer. So we're going to come up against a wall, all right? Feet are together. They're a few inches away from the wall, so that when I bend, I'm going to feel my shoulders and essentially my SI joint against the wall. Now, this is to make sure that you don't feel the lower glutes against the wall. If you feel the lower glutes against the wall, you're probably arching your back too much. So can you see, this is a more comfortable standing posture for me. But when I'm going to dance, I'm going to change that a little bit. The second thing you're going to do is lift up your toes. So you may have to walk your feet out a little bit farther for this, but not a whole lot. Just find a comfortable position. And then really, so here's the second thing. Lift up through your hip flexors. Boom. Laser beams forward. But when the toes are up, this allows us to really practice this movement, and you'll find that you will not be able to lift your heel, of course, because the weight is in the heel. So I'll show you the incorrect way. All right, so we can go up and over, up and over, up and over. Now this is something that I use as a variation, so maybe I'll do some low mayas, boom, 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 and then boom, 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 because it looks different. However, I really, really emphasize learning the muscular maya before you just push and push and push. And I'll show you when I adjust the camera again, but this causes a lot of disruption in the upper body, and it's just aesthetically not pleasing. So this is what we really want to go for. And yes, I like to do things the hard way. My students know this. But we practice against the wall. And again, so you should feel this upper part of your hip sort of tracing along the wall when you have that proper position. Now that'll vary a little bit based on your individual body type, of course. Don't get me wrong there. But you can get the difference here. So you want the upper portion of your back against the wall, not the lower glute. All right, so just try to get this general area. Now notice the small of my back is still not touching the wall. You don't want to completely flatten. That's very unhealthy. But really, especially even if you don't have a wall to work with there, just lift the toes. Lift the toes. This is a great drill also for hip lifts, amis, anything that requires that vertical motion, and really, really lift. It's also great for your feet. So it's a great drill all around. Okay, I'm going to show you a little bit more up close in the feet. So this is the position for our drill there. Now I'm going to do Maya, and I want you to see how much my lower leg sways side to side. Same thing if I was to do just a regular hip slide. So very often I'll see my beginner students that they sort of get the back and forth movement in the knees, but they don't allow the leg to sway from side to side. This is very important. So I'll show you from back here as well. So nice deep plie and tuck, and the whole movement really moves outside the edge of your feet. And I think this causes a feeling of imbalance, which is maybe why it's difficult. But just remember, the more you ground, the more you plie, the more that you tuck, you're going to be grounded. You're not going to fall over. But of course, our feet are usually used to feeling unstable if they're in these positions. Alright, thank you so much for watching. I hope this tutorial was helpful for you. Please subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this, especially for all of my viewers out there that are enduring this COVID-19 crisis. I'm going to try very hard to be posting my videos more frequently because I know a lot of us are stuck at home or under quarantine with nothing to do. So please subscribe, become part of the community, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment or send a message. I appreciate you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.